paragraph, but it's the heart of your plan. And when I help people create strategies, I always say create 2 or 3 possibilities or alternatives before you choose your strategy. Your first strategy is not necessarily going to be the best. You need to think very hard. Spend a few days with colleagues thinking this through. It's the most important part of the plan. And it will be informed by a deep situation analysis. The situation analysis should be half of your plan and half of your effort. You may put it into the appendix at the back, it doesn't matter. You must answer all those questions in great detail. Half of your effort goes into situation analysis, and less will go into the strategy, but it's going to be the most important part. If you've done a good situation analysis, the strategy will start to come out itself. Okay. Tactics. If we took these as the 10 communications tools or channels, I often think a simple way of looking at these is to, and there's digital equivalents for all of these, of course. The top 3 are very good for building awareness. So if you need to build awareness, you would probably be choosing these. As you move down towards this sort of space here, it's about converting awareness into action. So these are more about conversions. Sales promotions is content marketing, big issue. Your content marketing, there's no room anymore for average content marketing because there's too much of it. Your content marketing has to be really top class for people to bother looking at it today. Nobody's got time to look at average stuff. It's got to be really well produced. Okay, another way of looking at these tactical tools is, actually these guys are very good for generating, we call these, do you use the expression owned, earned and paid media? Well, this is owned media, where you own your own social media, you control it. You own your own website, you control it. So that's what we mean by owned. Earned is word of mouth, recommendations, shares, likes, comments. That's earned. That's really hard to get. And that's owned and earned. And paid media is classical sort of pay-per-click or banner advertising and so on. So owned, earned and paid media. Yeah. Okay, if you want to see more on owned, earned and paid media, if you go to the blog, just prsmith.org, you'll see blog there, or you can add blog to it, whichever. You'll find a piece I wrote about owned, earned and paid media and how this changes over time. So if you need more on that, please do go in there. If you post a comment on any of these articles, I will always respond within 48 hours to a comment you've made. So we can continue the dialogue afterwards if you like. This is also on the blog. I call this a tactics matrix. So it takes the various tactics, I'm sorry about the screen there, but it takes the various tactical tools, the channels, and it analyzes them as to what the best mix might be for you. So you can lay this out on a Gantt chart to show you what you're spending what, when, what happens. It's a nice way of summarizing your tactics. But you might find this more interesting. There's a tactical matrix in there which analyzes what tactics do which objectives best. So if you want to see that, there's a breakdown of which tactical tools or channels are best. So when you're having a discussion, it may help you be more informed. Looking at action, Peter Drucker, the great American guru, once said, everything degenerates into work. Sorry to give you bad news, but I know you know it, but everything degenerates into work, the action, rolling up your sleeves, making things happen. So this involves who does what when, what processes and systems are required, and don't forget the internal marketing we talked about before. Which brings us down to control. Now remember, control, the monitoring and the analysis of these results will be fed back into your situation analysis, so each time you're getting better and better and better at answering those deep questions like customers, who, why, and how. And situation analysis is used to feed into objectives, to create sensible objectives. And that feeds back in, that will be measured in control. So for example, do you remember we started with objectives like this? So your control section will be measuring all of these. As we turn it into a funnel, it looks at measuring all of those. So whatever is relevant to you doing a good job or your staff doing a good job needs to be measured on a consistent basis. Your plan should list who measures what, when, and any actions arising if you're up or down by X%. So what's the threshold? You don't bother reporting it if it's only 5%, or maybe you do report if it's 5% difference. Maybe it's 20% you're interested in. But define that. Make it work. Think it through. And tell others what to do. And remember that there is a cost to everything. So we need to budget. It could be time, people, or it could be a budget required. Now, I'm going to finish in just a few minutes. I'll say thank you for listening. I'm going to finish with something really special. This is a thing called Urbani and Davis's 3 circles. And I think this is really powerful because you can use it in your control section, you can use it in your situation analysis, and it will begin to shape your strategy because it looks at your customers and your competitors through the eyes of your customers. And if you want to see more on this, I've written it all up in a nice long page with a video on prsmith.org blog. So here it goes. This is really powerful. This in itself is worth the whole day, in my opinion. If we call this the customer circle, the customer circle is the value sought by your customers and the requirements and benefits that they seek. Okay? So just taking the needs, the values, the benefits that your customers need. Okay? That's number 1. Then we bring in the company circle. This is your business. And this is how customers see it. So they see your company as this. This is the value customers think your customer offers to them. Your company offers to them. Okay, so it's through the lens of the customer. Now this is really important because if you do this as a piece of research, you might be surprised to find out that even though you do a lot of this, you create stuff that meets their needs, sometimes customers they're not aware, or they don't believe you, or they're not sure. And they think, oh, you only do a little bit of what they need. That bit in there is the bit that they need. But even if you're doing lots more, they may not see it that way. So you need to know, do the research, how do they see you? How does your company or your brand fulfill their needs? Very important. There's a difference here. So this over here, all this work that you may be doing, that they think you're doing, is non-value, a waste of time. Well, not a complete waste of time, but not very valuable. Over here is defined unmet needs that your customers need. And you're not filling that space. And this is positive value. That bit in the middle, that little area in the middle, that's positive value. That's stuff you're doing that customers understand you're doing and want. And finally, we bring the competitor circle in. And that says the value the customer perceives in your competitor's offering. So they may see it as down here, and your competitors are only fulfilling a little bit of the customer need. They're doing that bit there. But where you've got competitive advantage is actually in that middle bit there. See competitive advantage up there? That's where, in the eyes of your customer, which is the important one, in the eyes of your customer, that's where they think you're really good and doing a great job. So it could be real, or it could be a breakdown in communications. So either you're not producing what they need, or you are producing it and they don't know it. So this is all through the lens. And it's done by Urbani, U-R-B-A-N-Y, and Davis, D-A-V-I-S. If you go to my website, I've got a lovely video of Urbani, Professor Urbani, explaining this again in 3 minutes. And it's beautifully done. It's what I've said, but at a nice pace. Okay, it is worth having a look at that, I really do believe. So control, really, you've got to be in control and make sure you're in line with the regulators and everything is cleared properly. You've got to test stuff, you've got to check the rollout, is it okay? And even when it's rolled out, you've got to still be tracking and measuring and monitoring. Is it on schedule? Is the awareness levels right? Are you in the considered set of suppliers that you want your target audience to remember and understand? That's the Urbani circle again. So we need to measure everything really that's in the KPIs and the objectives. And that in a word is actually SUSTAC at work. It's a very simple model. If you Google SUSTAC, you'll probably find me. There's lots of people who are using it as well. If you go to prsmith.org, you can download an infographic which summarizes everything I've said there. You may find 1 or 2 variations because I'm constantly updating it all the time. There's actually a video of it there as well, which is available for you if you want to just watch it. You get 4 minutes of everything I've said in 4 minutes. We've actually covered a lot there. I'm sorry I didn't tell many jokes. I had to decide, would I tell a lot of jokes or would I just be serious and tell some very serious stuff? So I hope this has been useful. So I will finish and say it's a real pleasure. Shukran. Excuse my spelling, but shukran. Cheers.
Thank you, Dr. Paul. And I will keep reminding you that if anyone has a question, kindly send it on the DigiPharma application. لو في حد مش عارف ينزل الابليكيشن ممكن بره في بوث انطلاقة ممكن يساعدوه. Now we have 15 minutes coffee break and we will come back to continue. Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum. It's a great pleasure for me and honors really to be among my colleagues, my friends. And I would like to thank the organizer for giving me this opportunity to share with you my experience. And actually, it's a great pleasure really, because we know that the Egyptian pharma marketeers are representing the unique school in the Middle East, because they are the one who are really shaping the future of the industry, not only in Egypt, but also in the MENA region. And we know the size of Egyptian mafia in Saudi Arabia and Dubai and everywhere. So my presentation, I'm going to answer some few questions. First, I would like to, sorry for that. And next talk, I'm going to answer a few questions, which is very important. First one, do we need really a new business model in pharma? Second, the customer voice from insight into action. I'm going to speak about the integrated multi-channel communication and moving from push to pull strategy, which should be a new school in all of our touch points, and from segmentation to data management, what is new. And what's important is the second part of my presentation. I'm going to give you and share with you some real life example from digital marketing, which had been implemented in MENA region and in Egypt. Actually, I have to be careful. Yes. Why we have to change? Actually, I'm now 29 years experience with pharma, starting from Novartis to Sanofi, and moving to Lundbeck MENA region. My colleagues is here. And then now I'm free consultant working as a marketing director. So through these 29 years or 30 years, we can say during the last 10 years, the size of the changes was dramatic. It's almost triple the size of changes in the whole over 30 years. Our customer really and the healthcare professional become more engaged and more empowered than before. And this is mainly due to the surge of new technology options available in the hand of our healthcare professionals. And this really led them sharing in our decision making in order to be a customer-centric company. And this also let us go to shift our strategy and from push to pull, and from mono-channel to omni-channel. So thinking digital is no more optional, it is a must. Do we have a need to change our current business model in Egypt and the MENA region? Actually, I reported around 11 reasons to move from the current business model to a new business model. First one, from inside out, the market is moving from inside out to outside in, because when we're discussing the annual budget plan, which is currently these days among all companies, they start to allocate resources to decide on action plan, which direction we have to go. And they are engaged and looking only for their direction. And they ignore the customer dynamics and the market changes. And which is right, you have to think from outside in terms of even deciding on which indication, in which direction you have to go. So the market changes and the market dynamics should be considered in order to shape our strategy. Even when we are deciding to have a national event, we have to think from outside in, not from inside out. We have not to impose our menu on our customers. They should be engaged in designing the venue, the speaker, and the audience. And this is very important now. It is not like before when we decide to go in pharma, we go from inside and after that go to our customer telling that we have, which is not working anymore. Second issue is from pushing marketing strategy, and the whole world now is moving to pull marketing strategy. So what is the difference between push and pull? Simply, it's one word. It's real customer need when you are going for pull marketing strategy. The end users can go and ask for your products. And this is actually by involving the customer in your campaign. While push is just you go for the retail and for the wholesaler, put your products, give bonus, give incentives, and this is no real market demand. So going for pull strategy, avoiding push is now a mandate. And from brand-centric to customer-centric, when you are going to sell your product, think about what customer needs. He needs to educate his patients. He needs something beyond the products. So even in designing our selling skills, when we are going to go from marketing, working hand by hand with training department, we have to convince our people in training department and the NCR system or sales excellence department to change their way of thinking, to have a customer-centric selling skills, to have a customer-centric sales effectiveness plan. So it is not anymore brand-centric, even in designing our campaign. From one fits all, I remember this era when we asked our colleague to go with a sophisticated product to sell it to our end users, to have a one canned approach. And I remember these days when they asked the mid-rep to go and to have a script. And this script was used in the early 80s when they asked the colleagues the no trust in our field force and even in their capabilities, and asked them to go for canned approach to tell it for all customer. And this is not anymore is valid. But to go for customized and personalized content marketing strategy, this is the right way to do it. Also from single channel, where our personal selling is the only way to sell our concept or our brands, to omni-channel, and omni-channel is multi-channel go simultaneously together in one direction to convince our customers. From brand experience focus to customer experience, the total experience, which is very important. Also from metrics, even we were using them as a marketeer in order to say, I have a healthy brand performance, I have a very successful brand, show me your results. And the metrics were used at that time, just the market share. But actually, this is not the whole story. Market share is a part, but now we have to go for a share of customer experience, share of wallet. And we have also to consider the Net Promoter Score if I need to measure the customer satisfaction, which unfortunately not used by pharma. We tried it in some companies when I was working in Landbeck. And we find that not all pharma are using the Net Promoter Score to measure the customer satisfaction among the KPIs where the marketeers should show that they are really a customer-centric team. And moving from functional attributes, when we are selling your brand, the era of having beta blocker, showing that these products is showing how it reduces the blood pressure and showing the mode of action. And the whole brochure is about that, which is not effective at all. Now we have to consider the emotional, functional, and the comparative in order to build my unique selling proposition. So only rely on functional mode of actions in selling our brands is not anymore effective. We know that customers are right brain or left brain. So we have to consider a diverse of our doctors. In the era of 80s, we will have very few players. We call it a dinner for three, me and the customer and the one who will pay. But now it is not a dinner for three. It's It's complex because if you approach any key accounts in the Gulf or in Egypt, you can find that there is a complex of stakeholders, and each of them have his own value proposition. So, no any few players with fee-for-service payment system. No, it becomes very complex, more influential stakeholders, payers, patients, a lot, and they have different value proposition. So one selling message will not fit for all. So pay for performance is the ultimate point. The 10th factor to change our business model is consumer-oriented marketing into value-driven marketing. And Philip Kotler, the good book of Marketing 3, he write that and he explain how the market is moved from 70s till now, from consumer-oriented to reach value-driven marketing. Why I have this campaign? I have to think beyond only delivering the product's attributes to what value I should add to my customers. And last, I found it in my experience from offline text, which is in early 80s and early 90s, offline text and visual brochures, to more online using infographics, the emergence of social media platforms and smartphone apps. All these mandates us to change. I didn't blame myself why I didn't change, because simply pharma is not like the consumer. It is, as we call it, it is a more structured industry, highly regulated industry, little of innovations, and most of marketeers came from scientific backgrounds. They are not actually, so they learned through their times how to engage to new ideas. So pharma consider really as a laggard adopters, but we have to move fast because the surge of infos is a lot. So we have to think about new model due to these 11 reasons. Okay. So ultimate goal from changing, not only just to change our model, business model, no. The ultimate goal is to retain a loyal customer. Some of us consider customer satisfaction is a loyalty, which is wrong. Because the satisfied customer is a customer who received what you promised to him. That's simply, no more. If you promise him this product will give you these deliverables, he becomes satisfied because you give him the truth. But the meaning, the real meaning of customer loyal and customer for life is to exceed his expectation, to give him value-adding service, and to have a long-term partnership with your customer. So satisfaction is not means loyalty. Simply why we have to keep our customer, our KOL, because if you lost one only, and you can find that securing a new, instead of that you lost to him, you will pay 5 times cost from your promotional budget, which is limited, to substitute this lost customer. And 2% increase in customer retention equal to reduction or saving in promotional cost by 10%. So it's very important if you have one of your top KOL is not satisfied, not loyal, to consider that it's mandatory to get an action in order to discover why he's not satisfied, why he leave us. What's customer needs? This is actually a list of customer voices. And I was, even when I was working with some colleagues, asking them during the field visit, not to talk about the company, not to talk about the product. Start to ask how we could serve you better. How do you see us? Just one call to ask, to hear about the customer voice. I actually find that doctors give me a list of things. Some say, we need to, from company to sell solution and experience, not just the products. He need to offer him a solutions for some pains he's suffering in his clinic. And also, he is need from us to truly understand him, and we will never understand him if we didn't listen to him. And he asked us to actively use his feedback. Sometimes he sent the feedback to company, and unfortunately, we didn't find that this feedback is ignored or lost. Helping me to save times, because your people come here to distract my attentions, talk a lot in nonsense. It's just irrelevant voice. I don't want many of reps' visits in my clinic. So they need to save his time to enrich my and my patients' lives, ensure my convenience as a customer, focus on satisfaction, not disruption, listen to me, add value to my job, and help me to better understand what's available in the market, to be a customer consultant. So this is a list of customer voice. Do we consider this in our model of action? Unfortunately, no. Simply, we taught our people in the training this way. Rule 1, colleagues, is always let the client have his way, listen to him, and after that, you have convinced him what your way is his way. So simply, we ignore the customer voice and try to sell, this is the best choice, doctor, we have, and you have to follow us. If we look for the level of customer centricity or customer centrism in industry, we will find pharma is lagging behind the whole story. So step 1 is old era. We call it product-centric era. And still pharma, unfortunately, is lying in this quadrant. In product-centric era, we find the company focused on the volumetric performance measured and how they are dedicated to maximize the efficiency in their company and focus on the brand. And this is the typical pharma. They take over a step in some companies to become a customer focused like McDonald's when they maximize the customer satisfaction, creating end-to-end customer process to ensure service consistency. If you visit McDonald's at any place in the world, you will find a very consistent customer service everywhere. So they are customer focused, but they offer only a consistent services matched with customer needs. Step 3 is to go for customer value, and this is companies like Apple Foundation to maximize their vision, and the mission is to maximize the customer value through application of customer strategies at every touch points. And the highest one is customer centricity or customer centrism. The company develop a strong emotional bond with the end users. I mean, you have a real, authentic program with your KOL. This is again showing the same what way. This is another research showing that if you go for different industry, compare it the industry with different level of business focus, you will find the retail industry is balanced between product and customer. While in telecommunication is more customer-oriented than product-oriented, and the consumer goods is toward customer centricity than product. But if you look for pharma, you will find pharma in the direction or in the side of product than more than the customer. So we still have a lot to do in order to move right away to give an example for successful companies. The faster than were expected, because in each 6 seconds, you can imagine this surge of infos are attacking the brain of our customer, our doctors. And most of them, as we can say in Egypt, you can find 70% of our customer have a smartphone or they have their own tablet, and they can go for the websites to search for data. And this is necessary that we have to be aware that we are not anymore the only source of info for our customers. So our doctor has become really busy, distracted, become more empowered, more demanding than before. And really, the marketeer should understand. He challenged really by this surge of info, and he would like also to establish a channel, the new channels added to the field force to understand how his doctor is thinking and taking his decisions or what is his preference. As we listen to the nice talk from Professor Smith, his talk, that we have really to go for understanding and in digital marketing plan to how to track our physicians through different channels to understand their preferences. So that's the ultimate goal, to have a valuable information, avoiding customer confusion, because we find that doctor, through our team, can receive some message from the product. And when he go to approach some other touch points, like if he go Twitter or Facebook, he can find another value proposition for your products, so become confused. Is this product is delivering so or X? So we have to build a strategy, comprehensive strategy, to avoid customer confusion. So we understand the challenge because we have to put ourselves in the shoes of customers. These days, it's not anymore like before, because he is really shifting decision-making power. When you go to some key accounts, you will find the decision, he's the only key decision maker. But now there is a complex of stakeholders: the purchasing, the payers, the chief pharmacist, and the health economic department. They can ask you about to provide health economic data about the products, preparing your value dossier. So he's not only the sole decision maker in making your, so shifting the decision making power from companies to customer, and from customer to different customers. This is really, we have to understand it. Technology is a huge surge now, and our customers bombarded with different informations. Their behavior become, they are seeking more information, and they have more online activities than before. These some searches, research taken from Europe, showing that 85% using smartphones. I don't have data from Egypt, but this shows how in Europe they, and 62 have on tablets, 39% communicate online, 64% using niche networking and communities, and so on. And even what's changed from 2006 till 2009, you can find the smartphone application moving from 11% to 41%, which is huge. So we have used to make use of these emerging indications. And another research showing in December 2013 that 50% of legacy doctor, I mean the senior doctors who's above 40s or 50s, half of them really start to refuse meeting the salesperson. They prefer to go online. And 2/3 of our physicians prefer digital pharmaceutical information over resources like rep and leave behinds. So this is a changes. Also, we have to consider it in our designing our promotional mix. What is the channel? What is the challenge? And in multi-channel customer interaction, we have two major challenges to understand the customer interaction across channels. I know that there is online and the mobile, social, offline, social media, offline. So we have to understand the customer interactions in each one of these in order to build our brand platform. Managing campaigns across multiple marketing technologies is still another problem, because I need to develop a global or national product platform in order to avoid confusion of our customer. Some companies, and this is recent in Harvard Business Reviews, said that the marketing manager in some companies started to classify his marketing team into three parts or three types of people. Some they call it think, and some feel, and some do. Suppose that you have a luxury of department having 9 marketeers working together as a team. You will have to pick those who have the direction of think, so allocate them to focus on data and the data analysis. And those are feel, let them focus on customer engagement, and those doer to be focused on content and the production. Simply, those are the left brain. So this is another invention. It's published in Harvard Business Review, July, August. That's 71%. I really astonished when I saw this figure, because we don't know what is CMT at all. But we find that some companies start to hire a chief marketing technologist, CMT. But we never find this in pharmaceutical companies. So this CMT actually have some focus area and have several challenges when I start to read what this guy is doing. Is it just a marketing manager with different title? No. He his focus area, how we could close the loop, because we know in order to ensure the ROIs, I have to close the loop. Second, how to translate data into meaningful individualized communication. But the challenge is that he have lack of insufficient digital experience, deal with logistics involved in amassing, collating, analyzing data. And also we found the issue of having the commitment from the company and the staff to go with the same direction. If you need to build a consistent customer experience, consider to have a brand consistent a platform. To work through the offline-online interaction, to work in the CRM, CLM system, and even in the